So Joe Biden pardoned Hunter Biden, and a lot of people are pissed off about it because some people have what's called belief. Yeah, some people believe that Joe Biden was all the things that they were saying Joe Biden was. Now, those of us who never believed that at all, we're not surprised.
Sit here in Normandy. Your son Hunter is on trial, and I know that you cannot speak about an ongoing federal prosecution. But let me ask you, will you accept the jury's outcome, their verdict, no matter what it is?
Yes.
And have you ruled out a pardon for your son?
Yes.
Joe Biden is the one that said he would not pardon his son. That his son, whatever the verdict is going to be, he would go along with that verdict. Hunter Biden was convicted. He also pled guilty to the tax charges. These are facts. That's the way it is, Jack. What I find interesting about all of this is that reaction for some of the Democrats.
What would Republicans point to as a two-tiered system of justice when the president's son was just convicted of a crime? I mean, if anything, this shows the difference that Democrats are willing to accept when our justice system works as functioned and as designed. We're not here contesting the results. We're not here trying to defund the FBI or the Department of Justice because we don't like the outcome of a given trial. We respect the judicial process.
Yeah, she respects the judicial process. So AOC was basically grandstanding about how great the Democrats were and how Democrats respect the rule of law. That they wouldn't do what Republicans would do. And of course, they're talking about Donald Trump. Okay, so she was making a point to stick it to Trump because, well, Biden didn't step in and Hunter Biden was convicted. And it leads us to the point of how the entire system kind of operates as if the Democratic Party are the holier-than-thou party and the Republican Party are the home of the misfits, the dysfunctional, the ingrown, the ingrates, the inbreds. That's it. That's the word, inbreds. What's some other words they use for them? The derelicts, the garbage. Yeah, I think Biden called them garbage. What did Hillary call them? Despicable me, despicables, deplorables. That's it. Deplorables for 1,000. Yeah, this whole thing, what's happening now is a pushback, okay? Because of all the grandstanding that the media, that everyone did surrounding how great Biden was. No, not in my house. It's not true. Democratic Party is just as corrupt, if not more corrupt than the Republican Party. And these people that they hold up as if they are holier than thou ain't so holy. And when they are actually championing for Black folks or LGBTQ or migrants or whoever they're championing for, it's always with an ulterior motive in mind. Does that mean every single Democrat is a bad person? No. But it does mean that the Democratic Party is not kissed by God. That it's not the party of better people. It's the party of a marketing plan. This whole idea that Joe Biden wasn't going to pardon his son, I never believed it. I always knew Joe Biden was a liar. He's been lying for quite some time. People like to call it gaffes. Whenever Biden was caught in a gaffe or a lie is what I call it, they would say it was a gaffe. They say it was a misspoke. Or you know how old folksy Joe is. But in reality, he got caught lying. But the Democrats have been very good, and media has been very good in camouflaging Joe Biden's lies into just innocent mistakes, goofs. What did Tim Walz call his lies? I'm just a knucklehead. Like, hey, man, I don't know much better. I'm just a goofball. You know, I make mistakes. People like that because they think, it's human. We all make mistakes. But when you lie about if you had a gun, or if you lied about if you were under sniper fire in Kosovo, or if you lie about a speech that you didn't write, that you took, that you plagiarized, or you lie about pardoning your son, well, that's a different story. Here goes Corinne Jean-Pierre telling the world several times that Biden would not pardon Hunter.
Second one, would the president pardon or commute his son if he's convicted?
So I've answered this question before. It was asked of me not too long ago, a couple of weeks ago, and I was very clear, and I said no.
Hey, let me go back to the first question of the briefing. I know you said not a lot's changed since yesterday and that it's a personal matter, but from a presidential perspective, is there any possibility that the president would end up pardoning his son?
No.
Again, you've also said several times that the president would not pardon or commute the sentences for his son, Hunter. I just want to make sure that that is not going to change over the next 6 months. The president's saying he would not.
It's still a no. It's still a no.
It will always be a no.
It's still a no. It will be a no. It is a no, and I don't have anything else to add. Will he pardon his son? No.
Ow! And still, he did pardon his son. It's got to suck to be Corinne right now. And I never defend Corinne. I've never came out and saw a need to ever back her up on anything. But I'm pretty sure she was told to say no. I don't think she's making up the no. I think she's saying what she was instructed to say by the chief of staff or by Biden himself. And now things have changed.
After repeatedly insisting in public that he wouldn't do it. And to defend his decision, the president adopted an argument that could have come straight out of Donald Trump's playbook. Blame your political opponents and claim unfair persecution. President Biden said this, quote, "The charges in his cases came about only after several of my political opponents in Congress instigated them to attack me and oppose my election." The president adding, quote, "No reasonable person who looks at the facts of Hunter's cases can reach any other conclusion than Hunter was singled out only because he is my son. And that is wrong," end quote. President Biden pardoning his son not just for the gun.
Okay, stop right there. So part of what Biden is saying, folks, Biden is saying that he was politically persecuted. Yeah, he's saying, they went after my son only because he's my son, so I got to pardon my son because if it wasn't for me, he wouldn't be in this hot water. So I'm doing what any dad would do. And folks, I want to be honest, man. When I first saw this yesterday, me and Mrs. Black were under the weather, and I saw the story was trending, and I said, well, I'm going to cover this. And I thought I would be going to air last night. I said, you know what? I'm going to do something different. I'm going to say, good. I don't care. I'm glad you pardoned your son. I would have pardoned my son too. Yeah, I would have pardoned my son. But you know what? There is a difference. Well, one of the differences is I didn't sit there and say I wouldn't. Yeah, that's part of the problem. When you say you won't do something and then you do it, well, that makes you either a liar or a person that won't keep their word. Yeah, that's the problem. See, as a critic of the Democratic Party, I often say my problem with the Democratic Party is they're unreasonable. They are full of hot air. They're full of lies and platitudes, and they prey on people's goodness or want to be good, want to rise above. They talk this stuff of what's the Michelle Obama line? When they go low, we go high. And then you find out they've gone low many, many times. They've gone so low to pro-parliament, you can't get under it. Yeah, man, the Democratic Party are not the party that they claim to be. And that's my problem with the Democratic Party. I want you to pardon your son as a reasonable person. Any reasonable person would probably do the same thing. So I don't agree with people that are saying that Joe Biden was wrong to do this. What I'm saying is the Democratic Party shows that when it's them, they understand reasonableness. They understand common sense. But when it comes to other stuff, they don't understand. They don't understand the need of a border that's closed. That makes no sense to them. And to assume otherwise makes you a xenophobe. Oh, sure, open the gates and let in 10 million people who we have no idea where they came from, who they are, and what their intentions are. But yeah, open the door and let that happen for 3.5 years, 3.5 years, and then close it and still blame it on Trump. And all of the media will go along and people will sing songs and parades and blame one guy out of power for the decisions made by Joe Biden and his administration. See, unreasonable, lies, bogus. Or this whole thing going on with the bathrooms. Should trans women be able to go to the bathroom or go to the bathroom with biological women or whatever, right? That whole argument is garbage. It's unreasonable to even think if there's one woman that has a problem with it, then it should be a problem with us because we're being reasonable. Up until this point in time in history, people, we've respected the privacy of women and privacy of men, not to mingle the two unless noted at the door. And if the door says, maybe we should change the signs or we're going to change the times. But that's only being reasonable. But if you are a person that believes we should maintain what we've been maintaining as far as separate bathrooms for different genders, then you should not be calling them homophobes or xenophobes or transphobes or whatever the phobes that you're coming up with. Once again, no reasonableness. These stories, they say, oh, these are small, very little. The only time they can be reasonable when it's something they believe in. And that's my beef with the Democrats. It's not about, for me, it's not about was Joe Biden wrong to do this. It's why can't you be reasonable all other times? Why can't you go back and pardon all the nonviolent drug offenders that you had incarcerated under your 3 strikes law?
So I hope this crime bill, when it passes, the Biden-Hatch crime bill, as it becomes law, God willing, I hope that we will have ended once and for all this notion that is a hangover from the 60s, that somehow Democrats are weak on crime and Democratic presidents are weak on crime and Republicans are tough on crime. The truth is, every major crime bill since 1976 that's come out of this Congress, every minor crime bill has had the name of the Democratic senator from the state of Delaware, Joe Biden, on that bill.
Folks have continued to uphold Biden as if this guy walked on water. This guy sit there breathing fire on the Senate floor, talking about how he wanted to lock up people, throw away the key, treat them like animals, protect his son. He was talking about black youth. That's what he was talking about.
It doesn't matter whether or not they're the victims of society. The end result is they're about to knock my mother on the head with a lead pipe, shoot my sister, beat up my wife, take on my sons. So I don't want to ask what made them do this. They must be taken off the street.
It's not just about Hunter Biden with the gun charge. It's not just about the taxes.
President Biden pardoning his son not just for the gun crimes for which he was convicted and not just for the tax crimes for which he pled guilty. Instead, Biden gave his son an extraordinarily sweeping pardon for any and all crimes he committed, may have committed, or even merely been involved in at any point in the last 10 years. That broad language, unlike any in recent history and reminiscent only of President Gerald Ford's pardon of Richard Nixon for, quote, all offenses against.
Okay, so this is what people need to know about this, and this is why a lot of us are upset. And this is what changes my earlier argument. Once again, guys, I was fine with Joe Biden pardoning his son. I think it's what most dads would do. I think it's what most moms would do too. Unethical, yeah, particularly if you said, I won't do it, and then you do it. That's part of what makes it bad. It's also bad when you are the person that signed and put into action legislation that charge other people, that sent them to jail, sometimes for the rest of their lives, but you're going to pardon your son. So that's also hypocritical as hell. But add on top of that, this astonishing fact, man, Joe Biden just pardoned his son for any and all crimes he may have committed, may have been associated with committing, may have done without knowing, like anything over the last 10 years. And I mean anything. If this guy jaywalked, he's pardoned him for that. when people push back, when people know this, they have a reason to push back when they hear this, because this says that Joe Biden has a reason to believe that his son did a lot more than just carry a gun when he shouldn't have. He did a lot more than just have taxes. He did something else. He had to. Or why are you giving him such a blanket immunity from all forms of prosecution? For the last 10 years, even when you were vice president, even before that, no. Yeah, before that, about that same time. But anyway, from 2014 to current, why would you do that unless you know that there's something to these allegations that Republicans have been citing for quite some time? And not just Republicans, guys, independents. People that are non-politically affiliated have been talking about Ukraine and the Bidens. And not just Joe Biden and his son, but also his brother. There's been a lot happening. And some people believe that Joe Biden, he had to pardon his son because he's the one that put his son up on this. That his son was merely working for his dad. People don't want to believe that, but how did Hunter Biden get the juice to leverage anything? How does Hunter Biden get the juice to leverage the Biden name without the help of his dad? So that's why this pardon is different. Though I hear Democrats comparing this pardon to other pardons, this is a different kind of pardon. As Casey Hunt just pointed out, the only other pardon that's this sweeping is the one that Richard Nixon was made for Richard Nixon. He's the only other pardon that was done to this extent. When Trump pardoned Lil Wayne, he didn't pardon him for everything he ever did. You know, usually pardons for a specific or for a particular crime, a specific crime, not for 10 years of your life, anything that you did. That's saying that you know that your child did a lot of things that were illegal. Why else would you do it? It also brings up another point, guys. I thought this was worth saying.
I think we treated Joe Biden like shit. I think we treated Joe Biden like shit. Like people just treated Joe Biden like absolute trash, and for what? Nothing.
I wouldn't say for nothing. I'd say he earned it, Trevor. Yeah, I'd say that Joe Biden earned that treatment. So you can take Trevor off TV, you can take him off of Comedy Central, but you can't take the hack out of him. Yeah, he's still going around doing the same routine he was doing when he was on Comedy Central, kissing the asses of Democrats. It's a thing now. It's a condition he's developed over the years from doing what? Kissing Democratic Party ass. Can't fix it. He's broke. Broken. Okay. So you mean to tell me it's okay to pardon your son, even of all crimes he's ever committed his entire life? Wow. That's something. That's rich. You really want to hear something rich? You should hear the people on The View talk about it. Oh, God. Before we get to The View, though, let's listen to Shermichael Singleton talk about it on CNN.
Democrats portrayed the president as this great arbiter of morality and truth. They said that he somehow was a better standard bearer for protecting norms and the institutions of our country, and yet that wasn't true. They lied. So you can go all the way back to 2022 when they were asked this question, and the White House continuously, consecutively lied over and over and over again. They could have simply said, to MJ's point, to Chuck's point, the president isn't going to put his thumb on the scales of justice. He's going to wait. He hasn't made a decision yet. Most people would have expected that. They would have respected that. I think most people, to your point, Chuck, believe if it was my child, I probably would have done the same thing. That's not the issue, Jake. The question here, the burden on the White House, I would argue, is the continuous lies. You said that you were better than this other guy. You criticized the other guy for all of these things, and now your DOJ is committing witch hunts, and this is now politicized. Well, you appointed Merrick Garland. You can't blame Republicans for that. And I can only imagine, as I've talked to a lot of Republicans, if this were Donald Trump, and I know people are going to give him a lot of criticism for the pardons he's already given, but if this were him and Don Jr. or Eric Trump or Ivanka, I can only imagine what the headlines would have been. And I will say, if you're Democrats and you're trying to walk this straight line that we're somehow better than Republicans because we care more about the future and state of this democracy, I think that's trash now. No one believes it. No one believes they've lost all credibility for the facade they portrayed for several years.
You know, I wish that was the case, man. I wish that would be reality. I wish the world was like that. I wish that there were Democrats that were waking up. They were saying, hey, they lost credibility. But have they really? I believe for the most part, people that are in the tank for the Democrats, they ain't gonna pay any attention to this. They're gonna watch Joy Reid or Rachel Maddow, Chris Hayes or Morning Joe explain it away, and they're gonna go right along with that. And they're gonna point to the other side and say, what about Trump? Trump has felonies. What about Trump? What did he do? He did this, he did that. So Biden did this, so what? That's gonna be their talking point. It's always their talking point. Even though Trump says he was politically attacked, that if it wasn't him, nobody be going out there for a $30,000 payment to a porn star he had a one-night stand with 30 years ago. And he put the $30,000 in the wrong column. Like, what billionaire are they charging with that? But no one cares about that because they have demonized Donald Trump so long that he can do no right. He can get shot twice, or he can get shot and someone else try to shoot him a second time, and people still not feel like, wow. Then he goes back on the campaign trail, and no one goes like, wow, what a guy going after it. They're like, evil Trump. They never let up. And then if you bring that up, they say you're defending him, and you're defending Hitler, or a Klansman, or a neo-Nazi, or a Nazi. So I don't know if it's really going to work with Democrats. I don't think Democrats are who they say Trump supporters are. Yeah, that's it. Democrats are who they call, or who Democrats are proving that they're just as bad as Trump supporters. Everything they said about Trump supporters, they're even worse because they do holier than thou. Yeah, it's not like people defend Trump and say, well, Trump's a saint. They go, we don't care about those piddly-ass charges that you trumped up against him. But what about Biden now? Well, people are defending Biden. Yeah, man, no matter how hard you go, no matter how hard you press, it's hard to penetrate the skull of the people that want to believe what they want to believe, man. And here goes The View to prove my point. You would think The View would say, hey, man, Biden's wrong, or Biden shouldn't have lied, or Biden should take his words back, or whatever. Instead, they just double down on the double down, baby.
Yesterday, Biden had a change of heart, granting his son a full pardon on tax evasion and federal gun charges. He released a statement that, quote, says no reasonable person who looks at the facts can reach any other conclusion than Hunter was singled out because he is my son. That is wrong, and there's no reason to believe it will stop here. Now, I hope Americans will understand why a father and a president would come to this decision. So the question is, will people understand? Listen, I get it. I mean, we got a convicted felon as president.
Yes.
And we have a former president who just gave blanket immunity to his son for the last 2 years of his life. That funny? And you still up here condescending and talking down to other people about how horrible Trump is. You're somehow going to make this about Trump. You're going to make this about whataboutism, about Trump. Trump, that time he did that thing where he, what did he do exactly? Did he film himself? Record himself high with hookers and the like, and then buying guns? No, that's not what Trump did. Trump, what did he do? Yeah, it's kind of like, what did he do? Like, What do you do?
It's hard for me to.
Yes, say it. Yes.
And I know that you know who's been asking, are you going to pardon the January 6th folks? Actually, probably not, but.
I want people to know that January 6th people are all kinds of people with all kinds of different charges. Whoopi does not care to be specific. That's why they got to read those disclaimers all the time, because they say things and they don't know what the hell they're talking about. So there are people that were charged who didn't break anything or damage anything. That's one group of people. Then there are people that did break things and damage things. That's another group of people. Then there are people that had altercations and physical entanglements or assault on officers. That's another thing altogether. So there are all different types of people involved in January 6th. Everything is not the same charge. There are people that didn't even go inside the Capitol, who helped organize the event, who weren't even at the event, who got charged. There are different levels. So Whoopi just puts them all in one bucket. Says, probably not. Because, well, they're not really news people or really journalists or commentators. They're just paid hacks to say a certain narrative, and they do it in front of an audience every day.
I kind of feel like I look at the list of folks that who pardoned during the first term. He granted 237 acts of clemency, 143 pardons, and 94 commutations, including Michael Flynn, Roger Stone, Paul Manafort, Charles Kushner, Steve Bannon, George Powell.
Less than, get this, 0.09% of people are indicted, prosecuted, charged, and found guilty of lying on a gun form.
How many presidents have been found guilty of the crap you... How many presidents have been charged with whatever you charged Trump with? 0, right? Just Trump, right? Just one, right? Isn't that true? It's like you do all this reading, you do all this souped up stuff. You had the staff that gave you your notes that you're reading, told you all this stuff to say, but it didn't give you any rebuttals. They didn't give you any real context in order to present it in a way where, I don't know, where somebody like me can just pick it apart. I mean, I'm just saying, if you're going to read out the statistics of how rare it was for Hunter Biden to be prosecuted for this, tax evasion is not a rare thing to be charged with. But Trump's is a little bit more rare, don't you think? Don't you think? Just a little bit more rare? I think so. Because no other president has ever been charged for this stuff. And if you want us to believe, if people want to believe that Donald Trump is the only president who's ever done anything, ever, that he could be convicted of something. So that's the thing, man. That's why I love my channel. That's why I love my viewers. Because it's not that they're Trump supporters. They're just not stupid. Yeah, they just don't buy dumb narratives. It's not that they don't think that Trump did nothing wrong ever. But it's just they know that other people have done things that have been wrong. And Biden's not a saint. That's it. They didn't vote for Trump because they thought he was a saint. At least normal people that watch this show, I think. I don't feel that Trump was a saint. That ain't the truth. That ain't the point. We don't have the option of electing saints. We have the option of electing who's on the ballot. Unfortunately. And hell, we can't even get everybody on the ballot. So, like Sonny in the View, these people are beyond the pale. They'll just say anything to suit their narrative. But to her own point, as rare as it is for Hunter Biden to be charged, it's even more rare that you would charge a president. And that's the real pushback, I would think, for people who are pushing on this story. It's not that Biden's so bad for pardoning his son. It's under the circumstances. It's under the guise of everything that you said before you decided to make that pardon. And it's behind the backdrop of going after Trump for things that, really, not selling secrets, not attacking or going after citizens like Obama did when he droned American citizens without due process. But no, it's not bombing Iraqis, women and children. No. War crimes? Nah. It's about some goofy shit. And that's the difference between people that are not programmed by the MSNBCs, the CNN, and corporate media that leans to the corporations of the Democratic Party, and people that are actually just independent, smart people that think for themselves, who decide for themselves, who know when something's rotten. They know when the milk is off and they dump it. They don't drink it because somebody else says, hey, it's good. They smell it for themselves before they drink it. That's the only difference.
The only reason that Hunter Biden was gone after and charged, indicted, and found guilty was because his name wasn't Joe Smith, it was Hunter Biden. And that's the truth of it. You've got Eric Holder saying it, you've got former prosecutors like myself saying it. So,
Why didn't he admit it earlier?
Wait.
I think one of the reasons why he did.
I actually talked to Joe Biden about this. When he was on the show, I told him I hoped he pardoned Hunter.
I remember.
You did, I remember.
I went to speak at the Biden Institute in Delaware like a month later, and we talked on the phone, and I told him I hoped he pardoned Hunter. I left him a handwritten note at his desk at the University of Delaware and told him I hoped he pardoned Hunter. And the reason I thought it was important is...
Well, how come you couldn't leave a note saying, well, I hope you pardon all the other offenders, all the other drug offenders that you've incarcerated over the years? How come you couldn't say that? Why come you couldn't have collude other people, like American citizens, who were caught up in a mass incarceration and dragged out of mass incarceration to make money? That's really what it was. I mean, most people, you got to realize these operatives don't care about regular people. They care about Joe Biden. That's what she left 3 notes for. That's what she was pushing for, to help Biden, Hunter Biden. Was she pushed to help us? When is the last time you ever heard Anna Navarro say anything that actually helped black people? Like ever. Has it ever come out of her mouth? Never once on this show. All the times I've seen her on this show, has she ever said anything that helped black Americans, working class Americans, people without a silver spoon, people that are not Hollywood elites, people that are not Democratic operatives, people that are not Joe Biden or Kamala Harris? Have you ever heard her do it? I have never heard her do it. Not one time. Not one single solitary time. But she, on her own volition, this is how dumb these people are. I tell you, man, they may be smart when it comes to playing the corrupt game, getting something for doing nothing or getting something for lying and being able to live a nice lifestyle. They may be good at that. But they're not good thinkers at how easily they're exposed. This woman just went on and on and on about how hard she fought to get Hunter Biden pardoned. But she has never once on this show gone on and on and on about how hard she's fought for us. And those people that are watching this show don't even have the ability to be out of the bubble enough to think for themselves and come up with that themselves. Because they're not putting working people or regular people, citizens, front. They put Washington insiders, they put Hollywood elites, they put politicians from the Democratic Party ahead of themselves, their neighbors, their friends, their children. And it's a difference about who they're fighting for. I'm fighting for us, she's fighting for them.
Because I wanted him to hear from people who support him and respect him, which I do, that some of us, I'd say most of us, think it's okay for him to pardon Hunter. Why?
Who is us? When she says, hold on a second, guys. When Anna Navarro says, most of us, who is us? She ain't talking about us. You know? That's my point. When she says us, she's not talking about us. She's talking about they.
Lie about it for so long.
I'd stop calling it a lie.
Okay, about it for so long.
think it's okay for him to pardon Hunter.
Why lie about it for so long?
I'd stop calling it a lie.
Okay, why?
Why would you stop calling it a lie? What would you call it? You say you're going to do one thing and do something different. You have your spokesperson come out on a daily basis, at least 5 times, and state it that you weren't going to do something, and then you do it anyway. That's not a lie. You say you're going to do something or you're not going to do something, and then you do it. Were you lying when you said it? What would you call it, Whoopi? A change of heart? That's how good it is to be a Democrat. Well, not just a Democrat. Don't get it twisted. It ain't so good to be Jamal Bowman or Cori Bush, is it? Not so good to be those people. But it's pretty tough. Yeah, pretty tough to be them. But it's pretty good to be Hunter Biden. It'll be Joe Biden. It'll be friends of Whoopi. Because Whoopi will get you out of hot water. Wasn't it Whoopi Goldberg that said Jill Biden should be Surgeon General? She actually sat on the show and said, Jill Biden should be Surgeon General. She's so competent. And she has a doctorate in teaching. Not in science, not in medical, not a medical degree. But so Whoopi's such a lapdog for the Democratic Party. She actually stated on this show how Jill Biden should be the Surgeon General. She didn't even know what her degree was in. She just knew she was a doctor. That's what you call being on the team. That's what you call pushing for your team. And all I'm saying is, we got to start pushing for our team. And our team is the people. That's our team. We got to start pushing for our team as hard as they push for their team. We got to stop being afraid to do that. We got to do it more aggressively. I'm trying to tell you guys, I don't believe we got that much time left. They're going to close all doors of communication. I'm not going to be able to come to you like this forever. They're going to shut this down. It's been too effective. They spent $1.5 billion and it didn't work. They're going to know next time they're going to have to shut us all down.
I repeatedly say you're not going to, and you do. And secondarily, for the part of this country, half of it that doesn't support Biden, doesn't know him personally, doesn't get to have phone calls, and they're just looking at a system that seems like it only benefits the people who are in power.
I'm going to say,
what precedent does that set?
Well, here's what it sets. It's a precedent for all of us to open our eyes because we've elected someone who is in a similar situation.
Yeah, let's go back to talking about evil doctor, evil Trump. Let's go back to talking about Hitler and the fascists, and he's got convictions, and let's talk about his legal problems, right? Isn't that what we're going to do? We're not going to admit that those legal problems were brought by political motivation. Not going to do that, though. Only for Biden. Only for Hunter Biden. Right? Right. Will America finally unmask the political charades? I don't know.
Who didn't have a drug problem, who knew what he was doing, who clearly stood and said, I can do this. And he did it. So I think, for many, many reasons, this is very different than any other situation that we have ever dealt with. Because when we're talking about who gets a pardon and who doesn't get a pardon, this man, I think Biden had no intentions of pardoning Hunter.
Never
this
happened
is I can't believe that this is what's freaking people out. That this is the thing that says, oh well,
matter.
see,
Precedents
matter. It does. But I'm noticing the man who would not normally be able to even vote for president.
There are Democrats saying they're not happy that President Biden made this decision.
Yeah. Well, tough. The president went ahead and did what he thought was right for him and to protect his son.
Joe Biden is leaving office making the strongest possible case for Donald Trump that anybody could possibly make it, and that's that our government and our justice system is of, by, and for the elites and nobody else. He ran to banish Trumpism from our political system in this country, and he has left it politically and now institutionally the strongest possible political force in this country. It is a complete and utter failure by the head of the Democratic Party and the President of the United States. Never again do I want to hear, oh, Donald Trump's a liar. You can't believe anything he says. Donald Trump will abuse his power. Donald Trump will only use the system to benefit himself and his family and so on and so forth. Never again. I have one question for Karen, and that is, why did he need an 11-year blanket pardon going back to 2014 when Joe Biden was the vice president? We are sitting on the biggest cover-up of who knows what crimes, and Joe Biden amazingly knows exactly, roughly, when it started. He knows.
You know when you're effective when they start laughing. That's when you know you're being very effective. Because that's all they can do is they can try to laugh you off. There's no response, no rebuttal, but you're going to laugh. You're going to say, oh, this is right-wing conspiracy theory. Why else would you need an 11-year pardon? Why? Why would you need an 11-year pardon for two particular charges? I thought you were pardoning for the... See, most Americans believe, they would think, most people believe, I believe, most people think that Hunter was pardoned for those two crimes. Nah, it's for anything and everything they ever find about him.
Knows just about when it all started. He's leaving office in complete and total disgrace. He is a liar, and there is no other way to spin this today. This has nothing to do with Trump and everything to do with the character of Joe Biden.
That Republicans have been, for years now, trying to attack the president himself, go after his family. And when you have someone who literally ran their campaign on retribution, on the idea of,
everything's about Trump. Nothing's about Biden. Nothing about Hunter, the guy who broke the law. Nothing about Biden, the guy who pardons the guy that broke the law. Nothing about the laptop. Nothing about the case. Nothing about Ukraine. Nothing about anything. Nothing about the allegations against Hunter, how they extend, why people have been calling them the Biden crime family. Nothing about any of that. Everything is always about Trump. That's the only response. And nowhere in the world would that ever work for anything else, for anybody else. I had to ask you, when was the last time you were able to do that? You were able to shift the blame to someone else who wasn't there when you did whatever you did. When have you ever been able to get out of an issue by pointing across the street? I know it's never worked for me. I wish I had that one up my sleeve.
Be your retribution and getting back at his enemies. I would imagine, obviously I haven't spoken to the president about this, but I would imagine the president took a look at this and said, I want to make sure this is ironclad, that there is nothing that can be done to circumvent what I'm going to do to protect my son and to try to take the target off of his back once and for all. So that's my reading of it. But again, I think that the hypocrisy here, it is astounding. I mean, Donald Trump has said and done things, said things and done other things. And again, he's a convicted felon himself. He has used his power.
She can't come up with anything to say. It's a horrible position to be in, frankly. I mean, don't get it twisted, guys. I wouldn't want to be in that position. I just wouldn't do it. Yeah, one way you avoid being in a position where you got to defend the indefensible is not take the job. Yeah, I'm not going to feel sorry for someone who wants the airtime, who decides to go on here to try to do this. How do you defend this? There is no way. You've been asked to do the impossible just to get your mug on TV. Nah, I'm good. I think I'll sit at home and watch episodes of Cross, Alex Cross. Or maybe I'll watch that Netflix with Coleman Domingo. Yeah, that looked good. Yeah, the Madness. That's the name of it. Maybe I'll watch that. I mean, anything's got to be better than trying to do this. This is for the dogs, man. This is for the birds, baby. Nah, you ain't going to bring me on CNN and make me look like a damn fool in front of the world. Trying to defend rich-ass Joe Biden's lies. His son was a bag man. All right, I think Scott Jennings is going to end this by eviscerating homegirl.
To benefit his friends, his wealthy allies. In this instance, we're talking about a man who decided to take care of his son after years of unrelenting attacks. I don't blame him.
You guys can spend all day long trying to spin this, that this is Donald Trump's fault, that this is somehow caused by Donald Trump. Oh, he's appointing the wrong people. Oh, he did it. Oh, this is the worst possible thing a president could possibly do to his party and to the country, to sit for a year and say, I will not do this. I will not do this. The rule of law is sacred. We have to respect the justice system. Juries, we have to respect juries. We have to respect the guardrails and the norms of our democracy. These people are liars. Inflation is transitory. Afghanistan, it's a success. The border is secure. Robert Hur is a liar. The videos are cheap fakes. Biden has a cold. He'll never drop out. Oh, I'll never pardon Hunter. It's all a lie. It is all a grift. Every American, except the most partisan, brain-rotted people, are going to be outraged by this today. He is going to leave off. You think 38, 39% job approval is bad? Just you wait. Just you wait. He's disgraced today. Outrageous. Are you fine with the lying? Are you fine with him sitting before the election all year and lying to the American people? Are you fine with the lying about it?
Yes, she is.
I don't think that he was lying. I think he made a decision after the fact and decided this was the right thing for him and for his family. Period. Full stop. Donald Trump decided that it was okay to pardon
Joe Biden, Karine Jean-Pierre. How many minutes of tape do we have of both of these people telling the American people this will not happen? It's I mean, we could play it all morning. It's a lie, and it's a lie to benefit his own family, and that's all that it is. And everybody who went on TV and said, oh, look how he's the modern George Washington. He's drained every ounce of credibility from every surrogate. If Karine Jean-Pierre had an ounce of self-respect, she'd get off the plane in Africa today, where they're going, so he can avoid the press and resign. He's drained all of her credibility, and everybody else who's defended this, it's draining for forever.
Yeah, I definitely got to give it to Scott Jennings on this. This is great for him to have this opportunity to moonwalk all up and down the Democratic Party. Yeah, just moonwalk all over him. That's what he was able to do in this segment. Have a real good time doing it, too. They deserve it. They have it coming, Johnson, because there is no way that they would ever allow Trump to do such without hearing about it for the next coming months. Yeah, the title of tonight's show is Will America Finally Unmask the Political Charades? And I really wish it would. I really wish we had the strength to muster. I really wish we had the wherewithal. I really wish we had the right types of political engagement that got people to wake up, made them really realize, truly understand just how bad both parties are, just how bad our political system is, to understand that the Democratic Party is not the party of black people, it's not the party of working people, it's not the party of anything other than the corrupt Democratic Party. And that the Republican Party is not a place to go either. We need more parties. We just do. But if there is a difference, one of the differences is one party holds primaries, the other one doesn't. One party likes to pander to elements of society, and then at the end of the day, doesn't do anything really for them. One party has the full brunt of the media industrial complex behind it, so it lie, and it accuses you of things that it's already doing, has done, and will continue to do. That's the Democratic Party, and that's why I've been saying, and people have been pushing back, and people have been saying, Tim, you're wrong. What happened to you, Tim? I woke up. I wish you would too. Because the Democratic Party is the greater evil. So I believe we dodged a bullet with Kamala Harris. That bullet is still out there traveling. What Joe Biden did is not what he did, it's how he did it, it's why he did it, and what it really means. If you're pardoning somebody for 11 years, it's hard for you to try to justify by saying they committed 2 sole crimes. Most people with common sense would figure out Did you need a blanket pardon for that long a time? Because there was some criminal activity done across that period of time. There is no reason why you do it otherwise. So will America wake up? Will we be able to unmask the political charades? I don't know, man. I really don't. I would like to hope that we get there somehow, some way. But if we continue to rely on corporate media to be the linchpin, if we rely on corporate media, if that's got to be the manner in which we do the unmasking, it'll never happen. They're paid to lie to us. And I don't say all this to make you want to go after your neighbors and go after your friends. I'm not Joy Reid. I want you to understand that your friends, your neighbors, your brothers, your sisters, family members, your spouse, everyone. I want you to recognize that millions, if not billions of dollars are spent to lie to us. That's what the big salaries are for. Rachel Maddows not only paid $8 million to lie to you, she's paid $8 million not to tell you the truth. Same thing with Joy Reid and all the others. Morning Joe, all of them. Al Sharpton's paid to sheep herd black folks along with Roland Martin, but also not to tell them the truth. It goes the other way too, so recognize that. So when you're defending them and you're saying, Tim Black, why are you so hard on us? Recognize they ain't fighting for us, and there's all types of us's. There's all types of groups. It's not that simple. When they're just getting their money right, they're getting it at the expense of our truths, of our realities, of our futures, and of our presence. And not just ours, everyone that we love.